So, you're at the gym, working on your fitness because you want to be the next Chris Bumstead. You look over and see a girl in leggings with a booty as round as the sky. Immediately you get this feeling, and the next thing you know, you're on your way home with your hands halfway down your pants. We've all been there, watching people, and I know you dirty dog. You're not just doing 10 minutes, you're doing 30, 40 and sometimes an hour or more. If you do the math, that's 7 to 10 or more days a year, which is ridiculous. I'm not exempt from this either. I started watching this stuff when I was 13 and did it effectively for a decade or more. That's like 15 weeks or 4.5 months of my life that'll just like you run diagnostics and put in virus security on a computer. You can do the same thing with your brain, which is the most powerful machine in the world. I'm going to tell you how to get smarter. I know it's tough enough. Watching important things is the easiest route to the instant gratification. It's foolproof. There's 100% guarantee that you will feel good, more so than anything else. Whether it's video games, eating junk food, or even getting a massage sometimes. If you're not in the mood, doesn't even feel good. Always sounds like a good idea, but the problem is that each time you do it, flip open that laptop and pull up the P-Hub, you're strengthening that bond between your brain and pornography. It's like that weird couple standing in lines at the amusement park. What are they doing so close? Let's separate them a little bit, right? You see, when you take off, you release 3 main chemicals. Dopamine, which makes you happy, prolactin, which makes you tired, that's why you don't feel like doing much afterwards, and oxytocin, which is the bonding chemical. So the more that you're releasing this oxytocin, the more you're bonding this relationship between your brain and pattern. And when you're strengthening this, it's less attention that you're giving to the other connections, so those connections are weakening. That's why you forget things, like when your hamster's birthday is, or why you don't care as much about your Dungeons and Dragons club. But it can be fixed, and here is how. Your brain has a process called synaptic purging. When a connection isn't used much, a protein marks it, and then cells called microglia hunt it down. It doesn't work as if you keep doing the same thing 3 months later. You can change up the exercise by doing a different angle, weight or something. You have to build on that. That's why the categories you used to watch probably aren't doing it for you anymore, and you're watching midgets on stilts or something. You have to start training other parts of your brain. I'm talking about interests, hobbies, passions. I always say each guy should have a hobby that makes them richer, makes them stronger, and makes them friends. So for example, maybe you could get into video production that'll make you richer and it's fun to create. You could get into boxing, which is extremely difficult but make you super fit. And last, you could get into a hiking club where you can go on mix with groups of people and meet girls and guys and friends and all. And there's this thing called the 20-hour rule, which says that if you spend 20 hours doing something, then that's all the time it takes to get pretty proficient at it to the point where you're pretty decent at it. And 20 hours is just about 40 minutes each day. You know what else takes about 40 minutes a day? So when you start exercising these other muscles, putting your focus into those, naturally your focus and your connection to weakens. And I'm saying this from my own personal experience until eventually you don't even really think about it anymore and you question why you ever did. I just want to share one last thing. So there's 3 people. We got John's 38, married, and when his wife goes to the grocery store, he's occasionally off just because, he doesn't get too tired very often. Then there's Lexi, who's a 16-year-old girl, and she flicks the bean 3 times a day and thinks about sex and pornography pretty much all day long. And then we have Rick, who's 22 years old. He's fit and athletic, but he jumped off just when he's feeling really stressed. Maybe he can't sleep or he's got an exam coming up, so he needs to release some of this pent-up energy. One is a casual user, one is an obsessed user, and one is in trouble. What do they all have in common? They all have access to pornography. The Greeks needed access to Troy so they could siege it, take it over, loot it, and take all the women. Nikocado Avocado had to eat a lot of fast food to get big. Just like you need access to drugs to become an addict, you need access to poverty to become an addict. I suggest cutting off that access at its source, which could mean downloading something like a button blocker. One I've talked about before is called Blocker X. This isn't a sponsored video, so I don't talk about it too much, but it's out there, and it's a choice. I always use this example. You don't keep a shelf full of bourbon and whiskey next to your fridge. Instead, you get rid of it all. The same goes to junk food. If you're on a diet and trying to lose weight, you don't want a bunch of Doritos and corn dogs in the fridge. If you cut off the river, the lake dries up. In short, focus on other things. Instead, flex those muscles, and the muscles will weaken and waste away. and also restrict your access and cut that off. But in the end, it's all up to you, and that's why I choose you to click this video and watch it. I'm sorry about that, but I knew you could handle it and do the right thing. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.